What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Lerone Murphy is making it very clear that he does not believe Aljo or Diego have earned the right to fight for the featherweight title next. The undefeated contender has been vocal about his place in the division, and he took to social media to make his point even louder. On X, Murphy openly questioned why Aljo's name was even being discussed in the title picture. He wrote, "How is Aljo's name even in the mix? I'm confused. Bro is 2-2 in his last 4 fights. He was a good bantamweight, but an average featherweight. Only one name makes sense, and that's Lerone Murphy." Those words were direct and to the point, leaving no doubt about how Murphy feels. Murphy has continued to build his case with his record. Sitting undefeated at 17-0, he believes that it is finally his time to step into the spotlight. He feels he has proven himself against everyone the UFC has put in front of him, and now he wants the ultimate opportunity to fight for the belt. He didn't stop at just criticizing Aljo. Murphy also addressed Diego's standing in the division. He acknowledged that Diego did well in his last fight against Silva, but he made it clear that he doesn't believe much would change in a rematch against Alexander Volkanovski. In his words, Diego done amazing against Silva, but not as much changes in a rematch against Volk. The people want to see new matchups. I'm 17-0 for a reason. It's my time. These comments highlight a frustration many fighters feel when it comes to the title picture. Sometimes big names with recent losses or fighters moving divisions get pushed ahead of those who have been consistently winning. Murphy clearly sees himself as the fresh blood that the division needs. He doesn't just want to fight for the title, he wants to represent the new wave of contenders who have been putting in the work but haven't yet gotten their shot. His confidence is undeniable, and with an unbeaten record like his, there's no denying he has a strong argument. For Aljo, the move to featherweight was always going to be a challenge. While he was a dominant champion at bantamweight, his transition to 145 has been met with mixed results. Murphy pointed this out, saying that Aljo's recent performances don't justify him being thrown into the title picture so quickly. As for Diego, his stock rose after the war with Silva, but Murphy insists that excitement alone isn't enough to warrant another shot at Volkanovski. He believes fans deserve something new, and he's positioning himself as the fighter who can bring that change. The featherweight division is already stacked with talent, and Murphy's voice is just the latest added to the conversation. What makes his comments stand out is his unbeaten record and his hunger to test himself at the very top. Fighters like Ilia have already shown what happens when new blood gets its chance, and Murphy clearly feels he is the next in line to shake things up. With his confidence, his record, and his willingness to call out the established names, he's making sure the UFC and fans don't forget who's waiting for that golden opportunity. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We are constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That is why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on MMA Pulse News. Moving on to another news, Renato Moicano and Gilbert Burns recently sparked some conversation when the idea of them fighting each other for $850,000 was brought up. The clip caught attention because of how casually they entertained the thought. It all started with a playful back and forth, where the question was asked, "How much?" Moicano laughed it off, repeating, "Not much, not much." Burns chimed in, "How much you want to pay?" The tone was lighthearted, but the underlying message was clear. These fighters know their worth, and money talks when it comes to stepping inside the octagon. At one point, the offer was floated: what if they were given $850,000 to fight? Moicano didn't even hesitate. His immediate reaction was filled with excitement. What, 850? Of course, for sure. Burns echoed the same sentiment, almost laughing at how simple the decision would be if that number was real. The energy between them was genuine, playful, yet rooted in the understanding of the fight business. For elite fighters like Moicano and Burns, the number matters. They're already getting paid a decent amount, but when a figure like $850,000 is tossed around, the answer is almost automatic. The conversation didn't stop there. They joked about the possible outcome if the fight actually happened. Moicano, always quick with his words, said something along the lines of a first-round TKO. It wasn't clear if he was predicting himself or Burns to win, but the banter kept the vibe fun and entertaining. Burns responded with laughter, and together they kept stirring the pot, knowing well that these types of exchanges make fans dream about what could happen if they truly met inside the cage. It's important to note that both fighters come with their own unique styles and reputations. Moicano has built a name for himself with sharp striking, an underrated ground game, and a tough tough as nails mentality. Burns, on the other hand, is one of the most respected welterweights in the world. His grappling pedigree is elite, and his power on the feet has surprised more than a few opponents. If these two actually squared off, it would not only be a fan-friendly fight, but also a battle between two men who know how to put on a show. The $850,000 figure may have just been tossed around casually, but it highlights the reality of the fight game. Fighters want to be compensated fairly for the risks they take. They sacrifice their bodies, their health, and their time, all for the opportunity to compete at the highest level. Hearing them so openly discuss the money makes it clear how important the business side of the sport really is. Moicano and Burns weren't arguing or debating. They were simply being honest. If the money's right, the fight is on. This kind of candid exchange is what keeps fans glued to the personalities of fighters outside the cage. It shows the human side of the game, where humor, honesty, and ambition mix together. Moicano and Burns might not have an official fight booked against each other, but after this light-hearted conversation, fans can't help but wonder how explosive it would be if that payday actually materialized. Moving on to another news, Sean O'Malley is finally breaking his silence about his long-awaited return to the octagon. After months of keeping a relatively low profile, fans are buzzing with speculation that he could be facing Song Yadong this December. The rumors began swirling when screenshots started circulating online, showing a potential booking for December 6th. O'Malley admitted that he's been flooded with messages and screenshots from fans and even close friends, asking if this fight is officially on. Some congratulated him, others were eager to know when camp would start, and the hype only fueled more curiosity. Sean revealed that someone close to him, maybe Garrett or Tim, had even shown him a picture from one of the recent fight cards in China. In that picture, Song was standing alongside Merab, apparently teasing that O'Malley would be his next opponent. Despite all the buzz, Sean made it clear that nothing official has been signed yet. He hasn't had any direct conversations with the UFC about who his next fight will be against, or when exactly it will happen. Still, he admitted the matchup makes a lot of sense, and he definitely likes it. He explained that he's open to fighting in December, January, February, or even November, saying he's feeling healthy, motivated, and training like a machine. In his words, he's ready to go whenever the call comes in. At the same time, he laughed about the possibility of being asked to fight on short notice, admitting he'd probably decline if the call came too soon. But overall, Sean sounded confident and hungry for the challenge. He believes Song is a great next step, a stylistic matchup that excites him, and something the fans would love to see. O'Malley emphasized again that while there's nothing official, the idea of facing Song feels right. Both fighters are young, dangerous, and climbing the ranks fast. For Sean, it's about proving he's still one of the most dangerous strikers in the division, and a win over Song would only boost his profile even higher. For Song, the chance to take out O'Malley is just as huge. It's the kind of fight that feels inevitable, and both men seem willing to make it happen. As of now, Sean insists he's staying sharp and focused in the gym. He's healthy, his body feels great, and the fire to compete is stronger than ever. Whether it's December or early next year, fans can expect to see him back inside the octagon soon. With his trademark confidence, Sean closed the discussion by saying he really likes the matchup with Song. It makes sense for both sides, and when the time is right, he's ready to put on a show. For now, the hype continues to build, and fight fans everywhere are waiting for that official announcement. Moving on to another news, Terence Crawford has shut down any talk of a potential super fight with UFC lightweight champion Ilia. Recently, Ilia called out the boxing star after playfully stealing his walkout song during a UFC event, saying he would teach Crawford how to really dance inside the ring. The idea quickly spread online, with fans buzzing over whether a crossover fight could happen. But Crawford isn't buying into the hype at all. Appearing on the Ariel Helwani show, the undisputed boxing champion dismissed the call-out completely. He said he had no real interest in Ilia, and labeled him a clout chaser who doesn't belong anywhere near the same conversation as Conor. Crawford explained that, to be honest, he had never even seen Ilia fight before. He wasn't worried about him, didn't know who he was, and didn't see any reason to take him seriously. Crawford recalled a moment at a UFC event when Ilia approached him, shook his hand, and greeted him politely. At the time, Crawford didn't even recognize who Ilia was, but shortly after, he began seeing Ilia's comments online, talking about how he would knock him out in the first round. Crawford made it clear he had no respect for that approach. In his view, if someone truly wanted to fight, they would say it to his face in that moment. He said if he had a problem with someone, or if he wanted to fight them, he wouldn't hide behind a keyboard. He would step up, look them in the eye, and say, "Hey, what do you think about me and you fighting?" Instead, he saw Ilia's behavior as fake and purely for attention. He accused him of trying to build his name off the back of his own and chasing headlines that didn't hold any weight. When Helwani pressed Crawford about whether he might have interest now that there was fan buzz, the boxer stayed firm. He asked for what money would I even get out of fighting him? He reminded everyone that Floyd made a fortune fighting Conor, because Conor was already a global star. But in his eyes, Ilia isn't even close to that level. He said, "Don't ever compare him to Conor. Conor was here, he's down here." To Crawford, the gap between the two was massive, and there was no valid comparison. Crawford admitted maybe he was slipping when it came to following MMA closely. He watches the sport often, he enjoys it, but he still insisted he had never seen Ilia fight once. He allowed for the possibility that maybe Ilia is a good fighter, maybe he's talented, but that didn't change the fact that he wasn't interested. For Crawford, there's nothing to gain, no serious payday, and no real legacy value in stepping into the ring with someone who, in his opinion, is still trying to climb the ladder of fame. In the end, Crawford's message was crystal clear. He's not interested in entertaining the idea of fighting Ilia, and he believes the call-out is nothing more than clout chasing. Moving on to another news, big changes have shaken up the UFC Vancouver main event. Originally set to feature RDR taking on Anthony Hernandez, the fight has taken a sudden turn. Hernandez has officially withdrawn from the October 18th headliner, leaving fans wondering what would happen next. But the UFC quickly made sure the show will go on. Brendan Allen has stepped in on short notice and will now face RDR in a 5-round middleweight bout. UFC officials confirmed the replacement late Monday, ensuring that the highly anticipated main event remains intact. For Allen, this is a massive opportunity to re-establish himself among the elite at 185 pounds. After enduring back-to-back losses against Hernandez and Nizordine Imavov, Allen managed to bounce back in style. At UFC 318, he secured a big win over Marvin Vettori, a victory that snapped his losing skid and gave him new momentum. Now with this unexpected call, Allen gets the chance to prove himself on the biggest stage once again. Taking on RDR on short notice will not be an easy task, but it is the kind of moment that could define his career. RDR, of course, remains one of the most dangerous fighters in the division, and this matchup still promises to deliver fireworks. Both men are known for their toughness, their ability to push forward, and their hunger to climb the middleweight ladder. With 5 rounds to work with, fans can expect a battle that could shake up the rankings in a big way. Not long after the announcement, Anthony Hernandez broke his silence. Taking to Instagram, the fighter known as Fluffy shared his heartfelt thoughts. While he did not disclose the specific details of his injury, Hernandez made it clear how disappointed he was to be forced out of the fight. In his statement, he wrote, "As you've all probably seen, unfortunately, I've had to pull out of my upcoming fight due to injury. I want to sincerely apologize to the UFC, to my opponent RDR, and to everyone who was looking forward to this matchup. I also want to thank Brendan Allen for stepping up. It means a lot. To my fans, thank you for always tuning in, supporting me, and riding with me through everything. Right now, my focus is on getting healthy so I can come back stronger than ever. When I return, I'll be ready to make a statement." It was a respectful and heartfelt message, one that showed his professionalism and appreciation for the opportunity. Fighters know how difficult it is to withdraw, especially from such a big stage, but injuries are part of the sport. Hernandez's words reflected both his gratitude and his determination to return even stronger. Meanwhile, Brendan Allen deserves credit for seizing this chance. Not every fighter is willing to step in on short notice, especially against a dangerous opponent like RDR. His willingness not only saves the main event, but also opens the door to elevate his own career. For fans, this sudden change might actually add even more excitement. What was already a big fight now carries an element of unpredictability, as Allen prepares to test himself under the spotlight. The UFC Vancouver card keeps its headliner alive, and though the road there took an unexpected turn, fans will still get a thrilling main event. Moving on to another news, Gable Steveson has made it clear that his ultimate ambition in MMA is to become a UFC champion. The Olympic gold medalist recently delivered a stunning debut performance, stopping Braden Peterson via TKO in under a minute. It was a statement win that instantly had fans talking, and now Steveson is opening up about his plans for the future. Speaking on the Ariel Helwani show, the 25-year-old reflected on his journey, his goals, and how far he believes he is from reaching the top of the sport. When asked how many fights he thinks it will take before he's ready to challenge for UFC gold, Steveson explained that it all depends on the opportunities that come his way. He said if the UFC looks at him, or even PFL or any other promotion, his mission remains the same: to become UFC champion. He wants to test himself against the very best, stand across the cage from top fighters, and prove to the world what he's truly capable of. He acknowledged that he has things to work on, but promised to keep grinding, keep improving, and keep showing progress every step of the way. Steveson also revealed that he has already had a meeting with UFC executive Hunter Campbell. While he hasn't yet met Dana White, he described his conversation with Campbell as a positive and respectful meeting, filled with good intentions. This happened back in April, so it wasn't that long ago, and it gave him confidence that the right path into the UFC could open up soon. When pressed about whether he would be willing to compete on Dana White's Contender Series to earn his shot, Steveson didn't hesitate. He said if that's what the UFC asks him to do, then he'll do it. He made it clear that he doesn't see himself as above that process, and he's never been the type to badmouth other promotions or demand special treatment. The younger version of him, at 21 years old, might have asked to be thrown straight into the deep waters to see how he stacked up against the Sharks. But now, at 25, he feels wiser, more grounded, and aware of the journey he needs to take. Steveson expressed how honored he feels to be surrounded by such an elite team, training alongside legends like John Jones, working with striking coach Brandon Gibson, and learning from Greg Jackson. He believes he's in the perfect environment to grow into a top MMA fighter. He trusts the people around him to guide his career the right way, and believes that when they say the time is right, he will be more than ready to step into the octagon at the highest level. For now, Steveson is focused on continuing his development, sharpening his skills, and building on the momentum of his dominant debut. His mindset is locked in on one goal and one goal only: becoming a UFC champion. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.